And welcome back to Dobie Derps, Fallout New Vegas. When last we left our intrepid the thingamabobinstein thing, this guy, or gal, we were about to talk to our own brain. So, let's get to it. I fueled up on a bunch of mentats and books, so hopefully we'll have an easier time than we did with Mobius.
Well, look who finally dragged themselves in out of the background. And where have we been? Crawling through pits of radioactive muck again?
Oh, you know me too well. Why does my brain sound so masculine?
Ah, well, as to that, you'd be surprised how hard a feminine-sounding voice modulator is to find in the Forbidden Zone. It's not as though brain-sustaining life support tanks grow on trees. I had to take what I could get.
Are you my prey?
Ah, lovely. Figured that out, have we?
I'll not need to be
Would
condescending.
You like a cookie?
I need to be sarcastic. Meeting your brain is slightly odd event.
Yes, well, believe me, the opposite is equally true. Good Lord, have you bathed at all since they pulled me out of you?
Okay, because running around a crater full of bizarre science experiments, hygiene is top priority. What about you? That tank isn't exactly looking springtime fresh.
Well, I see sarcasm hasn't eluded you. Fine, perhaps now isn't the best time, but it's the principle of the thing.
I want to talk about other things.
Of course you do. How scintillating.
How the hell did Mobius get a hold of my brain?
After the think tank extracted me from your skull, they fell to bickering amongst themselves. I'm sad to say we were quite forgotten about. Dr. Mobius saw an opportunity to gain some leverage and had me spirited away to his dome.
How did he manage that?
I don't know. I'm afraid the trauma of our separation rendered me quite insensate. I didn't come around until I was safely ensconced in this tank. I'm quite sure whatever he did was highly scientific, though.
This seems like a pretty unlikely coincidence.
Hardly. Dr. Mobius keeps a close optical sensor on the goings-on at the think tank. As soon as he saw the opportunity, he took it.
Well, that answers that. On to something else.
Well, as long as your curiosity is satisfied. Ah, lovely. Figure that out.
Why are you such a dick?
Well, that's a fine how do you do. Me, quote, dick, unquote. As if I'm the one responsible for the way you carry on gadding about the wastes. I'm not the one that makes us clamber around Technus-infested ancient vaults or go charging off to New Vegas on missions of ill-conceived revenge. And have we forgotten who got us shot in the head and buried in a shallow grave?
Well, you did.
Do you think I enjoyed that little moment?
Yes. Of course you're responsible. You're my brain.
I most certainly am not. I'm the seat of all reason and logic in our little partnership. All those feelings that motivate you, that sense of righteousness and that rush you get when you help someone, do you know where those come from? Glands. They come from glands. Free of the tyranny of your ape-like and primitive endocrine system, I can see how foolish your motives are.
But you're the source of most of those glands, unless you're arguing with that my thyroid is to blame.
Well, look, it's all a very complex system of biofeedback and other things I wouldn't expect you to understand.
Admit it, you're just as glandular as I am.
Oh, all right. Perhaps I am, but at least I'm logical about it.
Don't you want to be reunited? Don't you want to be reunited? I thought you'd be happy to get back in my head.
I'm not going to lie to you. The prospect is definitely not that appealing. Look at it from my perspective. Here I have peace, quiet, and safety. Well, barring the odd rogue scorpion. In your head, I've got poison, radiation, grisly injuries, and biological functions. Do you know how much more you can get done when you're not constantly looking for places to urinate? It's quite a lot, I can tell you.
Yeah, but what about the good things? What about a cool breeze on your cheek, the smell of food, love?
Overrated biological feedback. Believe me, you only feel that way because you've got all that meat. Oozing hormones.
Meat. But isn't it as true that you only feel this way because you're lacking in those hormones?
I suppose you're right. That does call certain assumptions into question, doesn't it?
We're at an impasse. You can't feel what I feel, and I can't think the way you think.
Indeed. Quite the conundrum. How do you suppose we resolve it?
Mortal Kombat! No, that won't work. I think we have to trust each other and acknowledge that we are complete if we're separate.
I suppose there might be some advantage to that, yes. There's a chance that the reintegration would create some improvement between us.
So what do you say, Brain? I don't know, Pinky. Join me for some more wild adventures?
Well, I suppose you've convinced me well enough. I'll rejoin your body if that's your final decision. Unfortunately, before we get to that stage of the proceedings, we have a problem. Even if I could settle myself back in your skull and reconnect all those pesky nerve endings, Dr. Mobius doesn't have the tools here. We would have to make use of Dr. Klein's lab, and I rather doubt the brains are inclined to share.
Why? They promised to put us back together once I did what they wanted.
And you believe them? Really? I know you were recently deprived of my fabulous advice, but... Really? Once I'm delivered into their clutches, they'll find a way past the radar fence and the whole Mojave will be their playground. And that is assuming, of course, that one of them doesn't take a fancy to our body and decide to slip his own brain into it instead.
You're a part of me. I know you don't want to let that happen any more than I do.
Well, I suppose I do miss those endorphin rushes when we save the day. All right. What's the plan?
Think Tank won't hold up their bargain. We'll make them. Let's go.
Right. Look out, Think Tank. This brain is coming out of its jar. I suppose now that we're reunited, you'll want to fill your torso up with those other meaty parts the Think Tank took from us. Personally, I think your upgrades are quite a bit better. But now that I'm with you, the Sync's autodock can plug them back in no problem. Right then, off we go. Klein will be in for a nasty shock when he realizes the pacification field won't work on a mind and body reunited.
As you can see, I took a lot of stuff to help boost me up there. wanted to make sure I got the best answers I could.
You require some additional... Right?
Okay. Swap body parts. No, actually, I think I'll leave those out. I've got...
Would you like some toast?
No. I think I've got better bonuses without those actually installed. Don't know if I like the change in decor. Oh, you're so scary. Oh, no, I don't like this pink. Or red or whatever. I'm gonna go behind you.
The lobotomite returns. Our lobotomite.
I found my brain. Now you and I are gonna settle things.
I recommend watching your tone with me, lobotomite. Now, your brain. Hand it over, or we'll extract it again.
Mm-hmm. I'm not handing my brain over. There's some things we should discuss.
And what could we possibly have to speak about? You have the brain, we have the technology. All you must do is surrender. With it, we can finally leave this place. I cannot tell you how boring this place gets, chopping up the landscape and everything in it. And we have so many questions to ask your brain first. About this Mojave place. A fertile testing ground for our experiments.
Do you think I killed Mobius?
Yes! Wait, you did, didn't you?
Nope.
You are lying. No, you are not. Your heartbeat, perspiration, all excessively confident and sure of yourself. Why would you reason with that maniac? He'll destroy us all!
I can't let you dissect the Mojave or let you leave.
Yes, you can. You don't really have an alternative that I can see.
Dr. Klein, I must intercept. Please, do not harm the lobotomite.
I'm not going to harm it. I'm going to dissect it until it's
that counts
dead.
as harm.
Why the sudden intersection, Dalla?
I cannot stand a sweet breathing organism breathing in and out to suddenly not breathe.
At least you're not talking about my
must
penis
keep
cheek
alive
anymore.
for study. Slow study.
Pervert.
Dalla, these vocalized pauses are unlike you. What do you care?
Klein, are you sure we've calculated all the combat probabilities here? I mean, the lobotomite confronted Mobius. Plus, you know, we haven't had a COMBAT drill in forever. I don't think we could form a tactical attack triangle if we wanted to.
Releasing the WOMBAT was not my plan,
Wombat?
so get off my voice box.
Wombat.
Silencing opinionators.
Why am I even listening to you fools?
Wombat.
The determinators are greater than the hesitators, so hesitators, be quiet. We are bigger, smarter, and floatier than you, lobotomites. We don't wish to fight you, so surrender your brain, now.
No. I think you're past due for your lobotomy, Klein.
Fight? I've never been in a fight. What do I... Colleagues! Think tank! Alert! Alert! We are under attack!
I am...
Well, pooh, I didn't want to kill them. I guess I chose the wrong options. Oh, well.
As it had been in the years before the Great War, Big Mountain, the Big Empty, became home to one of the brightest minds of the 23rd century. The courier watched over the Big Empty for years to come, caring for it and keeping its discoveries safe until they were needed to help others. Which had always been Big Mountain's purpose. Past the laboratories and science, it had always been intended as a place to build the future of all mankind.
The courier had scoured much of the Big Empty, although secrets still remained in the crater's depths.
Yeah.
Perhaps that was for the best, however. Curiosity, while sometimes rewarded for its efforts, often proves to be equally dangerous.
Dr. Mobius continued his research undisturbed in the Forbidden Zone. As much as he had attempted to create better scorpions, he tried the same with humanity, with considerably less success. These failures didn't bother him overmuch. Once the rush of mentats wore off, he forgot he had failed in any event. After all, the bright young mind who had come to visit him in the Forbidden Zone had already exceeded his expectations.
The sink atop the dome bustled with the voices of a small town, constantly chirping, arguing, and snarling at each other. Still, this all happened productively in the interests of its new owner. The Sync Central Intelligence Unit discovered, despite its inversion code, it was comforted by the sense of community the other personalities gave it.
The Biological Research Station, obsessed with seeding everything in sight, requested a transfer to the X-22 Botanical Garden, so that it might, in its own words, sensually fertilize the garden's smooth contours.
Mm-hmm.
The garden sent back a polite refusal, saying it had prior commitments with a vault it had helped infect before the war.
The book chute continued to devour all seditious materials until it nearly choked on a paperclip. It adamantly maintained it was a Chinese paperclip, and the whole thing had been an elaborately orchestrated assassination attempt. Whatever the reason, it slowed down for a while, carefully appraising each document and clipboard that came to it.
The light switches continued to bicker and flicker.
This persisted until the day someone dropped a flashlight in the sink, and the two of them united in their hatred of the showboat. One of them eventually transferred to the Lightwave Dynamics plant and began a long, unrequited affair with one of the holograms.
The sink continued to ruthlessly scrub any particulate matter that came near it. Eventually, it gained access to the magnetohydraulics plant and nearly flooded all the Big Empty in an attempt to scrub the crater clean.
The toaster continued its psychotic spree, reducing all appliances in range to scrap electronics and spare parts. After one of its more psychotic episodes, however, the other Sync personalities decided enough was enough and dumped the toaster in a bathtub. Sparking and hissing, the toaster swore its enemies would rue the day when they had bread and no way to toast it.
Muggy did his best to collect coffee cups, although in his quest, he accidentally trapped himself in Higgs Village. It might have been the end for poor Muggy. Except he found it peaceful there, tidying up the kitchens of the think tank professors back when they had been flesh and bone. Well, except for Dr. O, who was an asshole for having created Muggy in the first place. Muggy left O's house deliberately dirty, punishing the dishes and cups that lived there in blind revenge for serving Dr. O.
Blind-eye old Jefferson eventually discovered a new sound. Silence. It only made him more filled with the blues than before. It was rumored by the other personalities that he had a brief fling with the light switches. Although he forgot their names much too often and was soon left in the dark as punishment.
Autodoc, always gentle and methodical, kept sewing up the courier in all the right places when the skin split open from repeated wear and tear. The Autodoc was just glad to have purpose again. It heard its simpler brothers and sisters who got shipped to the Sierra Madre were bored out of their skulls in that toxic dead city. In time, the Autodoc found a way to deactivate the Y-17 trauma harnesses, releasing the corpses they had held prisoner for almost 200 years.
As the courier ran through the X8 facility multiple times, the computers analyzed the test subject's movements. Rather than performing a superficial observation, they realized the subject barely knew what communism was, or even what a high school was. This confused them for a time, until the facility finally realized that its research had succeeded. So it let its cyber dogs out into the wastes to help protect small communities from physical aggression rather than communist propaganda.
The infiltration program in X-13 continued to scan for the subject and the stealth suit prototype long after the test was over. Frustrated and unable to find its lost technology, X-13 expanded its network of laser tripwires, sensors, and robo-brains out across Big Mountain. This glittering blue light beam forest cleanly bisected anything that entered its depths, slicing them into small segmented parts for easy disposal.
Ew.
The courier, organs intact, continued onwards, a little less heavy of step, but with all the organs in the right places, as they should be. After all, brains can develop a life of their own when left to their own thoughts, and the courier's brain was more clever than most.
The think tank basement, filled with the lobotomized robotical frames of the doctors, now served as a graveyard. The monitors had recorded the battle in its entirety, including the think tank's final, shrill, terrified screams, whimpers, and pleas for mercy. They broadcast these humiliating last moments as a warning to anyone approaching the perimeter that other smarty pants were not welcome. The courier was the inheritor of the Big Empty, and there was room for only one will in the halls of the think tank dome.
There is an expression in the wasteland, old world blues.
It refers to those so obsessed with the past they can't see the present, much less the future, for what it is.
They stare into the what was, eyes like pilot lights, guttering and spent, as the realities of their world continue on around them.
Science is a long, steady progression into the future. What may seem a sudden event often isn't felt for years, even centuries to come.
In the times following the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, however, Old World blues took on a new meaning.
Where once it was viewed as a form of sadness, nostalgia, it became an expression describing the potential for the future.
It can be easy to see science as evil, technology unchecked as the source of all ills, all misfortunes.
With the courier at the helm, science became a beacon for the future. There was Old World blues, and New World hope. And hope ruled the day at Big Mountain.
We could say more, but the stories in the Big Empty speak for themselves. Now armed with the transportal Ponder, the courier could return to the dome at any time and crack open the secrets of the Big Empty one by one. The sink sat vigilant, waiting for its master to return, shoes covered in Mojave dust. Only one road yet remained, and it was one the courier had to walk alone.
Your brain is back in your body, but some of the advanced technologies remain. Your head still cannot be crippled, but you are only 10% more resistant to addiction now. Surprisingly, your damage threshold has been improved by 10%, minimum of 1. You've acquired the Big Mountain. I'm not going to say that. It is capable of transporting you and you alone between the Mojave Wasteland and Big Mountain. To return the Mojave or go back to Big Mountain from the Mojave, simply equip the as you would any weapon, pull the trigger, and away you'll go. Note this won't work in interiors or in combat situations. It is totally incapable of harming your enemies. Bam, bam, bam. Let's see. I was going to put more points into something, but I can't remember what now. Mad Bomber. Don't I have the one allowing me to get more powerful robots? Now, Science 75. And then there's probably one higher up than that. Repair 90, Science 90. So, I get a bit to go on those. You just don't read books, you turn to them. Damaged books you pick up become blank magazines, which you can use to copy your existing skill magazines onto the workbench. Or converts blank magazines back to books. Mwahahaha. Shut up, jukebox. Exactly. Well, anyway, this is the end of Big Mountain. Wow, 301% thing. Well,
One time, the biological research station told me he dropped a mug down his processing chute. When I reached in, he seeded me.
ew. Well, this is the end of the Big Empty. I might come back eventually, do some more looting and such. But it's time to go back to the Mojave. Hellhole, sweet hellhole. And for now, this ends our expedition into the wasteland. I will be picking it up shortly, probably tomorrow. I might take a short break. Let my brain rest from this. Look into other games I have. Decide if I want to do Let's Plays of other games as a break, or change my mod loadout. We'll see what happens. Until then, I am Doofy Dobie. This is Fallout New Vegas, and I hope you enjoyed watching me derp around. Bye-bye.